Long before the formalization of borders and the rise of massive urban states, African societies built durable, flexible cultures driven by the need to adapt to a constantly changing climate and environment. Survival depended not on staying still, but on knowing when to move. These societies built cultures around movement, cattle, and adaptation. Today, we group many of their languages under one name: Nilo-Saharans, a network of societies shaped by migration, environment, and the constant negotiation between stability and change. To understand their story, we go back to when Sahara was not a desert. Thousands of years ago, much of North Africa was green, filled with lakes, rivers, significant rainfall, and grazing land. Human communities lived across the region, which is now almost uninhabitable. They fished and herded sheep, goats, and cattle. The climate shifted abruptly around 5,000 years ago when the land began to dry. Water sources shrank and grasslands disappeared. This aridification happened in as little as 100 to 200 years. The harsh shifting conditions prompted the reliance on cattle herding, which offered mobility and survival. These environmental shifts changed the Nilo-Saharan populations from settled pastoralists in a lush landscape into nomads moving towards better watered region. They moved toward the Nile Valley, the Sahel, and the savannas of East Africa. The movements unfolded over centuries, creating waves of migration that slowly spread languages, cultures, and survival strategies across the continent. The population spread into different groups. One major branch, known as Eastern Sudanic, includes many of the well-known Nilotic groups such as the Dinka, the Nuer, the Shilluk, the Maasai, Luo, and Turkana. Another branch, known as Central Sudanic, includes groups like the Azande, the Lugbara, and the Mangbetu, who lived in forest savanna regions and often combined farming with fishing, hunting, and livestock rearing. In the Sahel, you find the Saharan branch, which includes the Kanuri, who live primarily in the lands of the Kanem-Bonu empires, and the Tubu, and further west, in Niger and Mali. Languages such as Zarma associated with the Songhai, peoples who are connected to one of West Africa's largest empires. Each group developed differently, depending on the land they occupied. In the floodplains of South Sudan, societies like the Dinka and Nuer built cultures where cattle were central to everything. Cattle determined wealth, shaped marriage alliances and social status. They influenced religion, acting as a primary link between the living, the ancestors, and the divine. Communities moved seasonally between higher ground during floods and lower grazing areas near rivers during dry seasons, thus creating a rhythm of life tied directly to the environment. Nearby, the Shilluk developed something different. They formed a centralized kingdom along the Nile, ruled by a king known as the Reth, unlike the more decentralized Dinka and Nuer. The Shilluk combined Nilotic culture with a structured political authority. We can already see divergence, same broad linguistic roots with different political systems and social organization. As Nilotic-speaking groups moved south into Uganda and Kenya, their lifestyles began to change. Groups like the Acholi, Langi, and Alur in Uganda combined cattle keeping with farming. The Luo of Kenya settled around Lake Victoria, where fishing and agriculture became more important than large-scale pastoralism. Some Luo groups also moved into Tanzania as direct migrants, settling near the borders. Meanwhile, the Maasai maintained a strong pastoral lifestyle in the open savannas of Kenya and Tanzania. They developed age-grade warrior systems, cattle-based economies, and highly mobile societies. The Kalenjin migrated south through Uganda, where related Nilotic groups like the Acholi and Langi still live today before settling mainly in the highlands of Kenya's Rift Valley. They are a collection of groups such as the Nandi, Kipsigis, Tugen, Keyo, Marakwet, and the Pokot, who extend across the Kenya-Uganda border. Their languages are closely related and mutually understandable. The Kalenjin developed a mixed lifestyle of farming and cattle keeping, growing crops like millet and maize while still valuing livestock. Living in high-altitude regions shaped their culture around endurance, mobility, and adaptation, which is one reason they are globally known for producing elite long-distance runners. In the Sahel, the Kanuri built one of Africa's most enduring states, the Kanem-Bornu Empire, which controlled trade routes linking Central Africa, North Africa, and the wider Islamic world. Caravans carried salt, gold, livestock, and textiles. Trade created enough wealth to support a centralized political power. They had a monarchical system known for powerful kings. Major cities such as Njimi, Gazargamu, and Kukawa developed, with the capital shifting from Njimi to Gazargamu, which was strategically located to command the trade links with the Hausa kingdoms to the west and the Ottoman-linked routes to the north. At the same time, the Tubu remained more nomadic, navigating the harsh desert environment with remarkable resilience. So within the same broader linguistic world, we have pastoralists, agro-pastoralists, traders, and fishing-based communities. As the Nilo-Saharans migrated into different parts of Africa, they interacted with other communities such as the Cushitic-speaking groups, Arab traders, and the Bantu speakers. These interactions were a constant process of exchange and adjustment. One clear example of Nilo-Saharan movement is the migration of the Luo people who originated in the Nile Valley region of present-day South Sudan. Luo-speaking groups moved south through Uganda and eventually settled around Lake Victoria about 500 to 600 years ago. Along the way, they split into different groups: the Acholi, Alur, Adhola, and Jonam in Uganda, and the Luo in Kenya. Even today, their languages remain closely related, but their cultures adapted to new environments. Originally pastoralists, the Luo are strongly associated with a mixed economy of fishing, farming, and trading today. The story of the Nilo-Saharans is ultimately a story about adaptation, about people who learned how to live in shifting environments that prompted constant movement in search of stability. Their cultures grew from the land itself, from cattle, from rivers, from climate, and from the endless human ability to adjust when the world changes. Because sometimes the most powerful civilizations are not the ones that build the tallest monuments, but those that learn how to move with the environment. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share, like, and comment.